So, I decided to do another re-review of a comic book miniseries by the name of Bullet Points. Now, if you aren't aware of what Bullet Points is, like I said, an alternate Marvel universe where basically one event happens and, of course, everything else kind of spirals out of control. And what's interesting here is that in this comic, what basically happens is that the universe is changed drastically to basically heroes become different heroes. That's kind of it in a nutshell. It's written by J. Michael Straczynski and the artwork's done by Tommy Lee Edwards, not Tommy Lee Jones, although that would be hilarious. This is a pretty decent 5-part miniseries. The comic centers around the death of the scientist who created the super soldier serum, where Nazi assassins, managed to get him before he can administer the super soldier serum to Steve Rogers. But however, what happens is that Howard Stark comes up with a plan to create an Iron Man suit. So basically, what quintessentially happens is that Steve Rogers becomes Iron Man in World War II, and the world becomes a little more militarized because of that, and he never gets frozen. So yeah, Steve Rogers lives out his life and known as the Invincible Iron Man. From that, also who was killed during that fateful day where Captain America was not to be. What happened was that also Ben Parker was killed during that time. So Peter was left without not only parents, he was also left without an uncle. And without an uncle to teach him, the importance of great power and responsibility, he quintessentially became a dick. He basically became a buddy of Flash Thompson's, and what had happened was he cut school during a field trip and takes a Jeep out into the middle of the desert. You see where this is going. And what happens is that when the Jeep breaks down and he goes looking for gas, he winds up in the middle of the Gamma Bomb. Yes, so Peter Parker becomes the Incredible Hulk. Not only that, there are several other characters that become much differently, such as Reed Richards, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., because when he tried to do his experiment, it exploded and he was the only survivor of would-be Fantastic Four. You also have Bruce Banner trying to, in an attempt to save Peter's life as the Hulk, he experiments with gamma radiation on spiders and he becomes Spider-Man. Now, not every character becomes drastically different. Some characters, such as Thor and the X-Men, they all continue onward. But yeah, there are some major changes throughout this universe. I like this. I really like this big what-if. It's like one of Marvel's classic what-if stories. It's very much a story. It's one of those what-if stories, and it's taken to a whole new level where one event can it goes back to the whole, one event can clearly change the whole outlook of the world. It can, vastly change everything. Edward's artwork is very good. It's very colorful. I know artwork's supposed to be colorful, but it is very bright and vibrant. And here's the thing: what I like about this, this comic. This is what I really like about Bullet Points, is that even though it does kind of end on a dark note with Captain America never existing and instead Steve Rogers becoming Iron Man, and there are some really sad moments. It's not as bad as the rest of the Marvel, alternate universes. Because when you look at the Marvel multiverse, it's pretty goddamn dark. Look at Old Man Logan, or, several other universes that are just completely bleak and depressing. I mean, DC Elseworlds, say what you want about, how bleak and depressing Dark Knight Returns is. There is some hope in there. There is, even in Dark Knight Returns and some other comics, there is, rays of hope, which is kind of weird now because, Marvel's all bright and colorful, and, Marvel's bright and colorful, and now DC's trying to go the uber dark... we've been over that conversation before. But yeah, even in the darkest reality, DC was pretty nice, but Marvel, it just stamped in the Marvel multiverse, it's like, no, we stamp out every ounce of hope. Yeah, that's kind of what it was. But in here, even though there are some dark moments, like Peter becoming the Hulk, and he goes into seclusion, and some again, Steve Rogers is also killed by he dies fighting the Hulk. There's also several other things, like Stephen Strange never becomes Doctor Strange. A lot of things happen in here, but at the same time, it's still kind of hopeful. It still feels like a Marvel universe that could have existed. It still feels like it could have been like that. Really, it could have turned out just as well. It's really fun. It's really fun to see these characters done differently and made into certain ways. It's, like I said, a very nice, well put together what-if story, and if you can find it, I managed to find the 5-issue. I managed to find all 5 issues in like a little. I was at a comic book shop a while ago, and I found this just right out of the blue, and I was like, "Oh, $10 for this? Okay, I can do that." Yeah, it's a lot of fun if you like Straczynski's work, especially on like Spider-Man and his other work at Marvel. I'd say pick this up. This is it's a nice little self-contained what-if comic. It kind of... Here's the thing, though. I've kind of noticed that a majority of Marvel's alternate universe comics end with Galactus coming. And I understand, yeah, Galactus was a big... Galactus is a big thing. But yeah, I've noticed a trend that in a majority of Marvel alternate universes, Galactus ends up being, like, the big thing. Like, in Marvel Zombies, Galactus shows up. Bullet Points, Galactus shows up. Like, I think Heroes Reborn even had Galactus in there, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Then again, Heroes Reborn is so forgetful. Yeah. But again, if you... yeah, Galactus just shows up as the endgame villain. The endgame... I shouldn't say villain, because Galactus isn't really evil, per se. Galactus just shows up as the big boss at the end of every... like a majority of ending Marvel alternate universe stuff. That Galactus just... Oh yeah, Galactus showed up in... he showed up, what, twice in 2 different Ultimate comics? Like, there was Galactus, and then 616 Galactus ended up in the Ultimate Universe. Anyway... So yeah, so what did you guys think if you've read Bullet Points? Do you guys like it? Do you guys hate it? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys later.